Good morning, everybody. Another episode of the Keep Going podcast, Athletes Shining a Light on Mental Health. I got special guest Chad Herren in the building. Before we get to Chad, Big Dave, happy Father's Day. What are your plans for today, man?
Today I got working a little bit here, but first of all, we got a special guest here, Coach Herren in the house today. Thank you for coming on and can't wait to get this episode started.
You got it, Big Dave. Chad, tell me about your Father's Day, man. What do you guys got planned as a family?
Um, Not a lot, man. Woke up for this and then gonna hang out with Kai and Bowie and Carrie and probably grill out a little bit and just kind of relax. Watch some College World Series baseball for sure.
I love it. Who are you cheering for right now in the World Series?
I don't know, maybe Murray State the underdog a little bit. You know, Arkansas, I know they had a big loss last night, so we'll kind of, see, but it'll be fun. It's a good time for a week and a half.
No, I agree. Omaha is a great time of year if you're a baseball guy. And if you're not, tune in. I mean, it's any level of college athletics at the top, the peak is awesome to watch. Chad, obviously on the mental health side, man, it's obviously the preface of our podcast. Tell me why you wanted to come on today with me and Dave.
I just think with mental health going on now and ways that we're finding out that we can assist, young humans, student athletes, people like that. I just thought it was a great, podcast to hop on. Obviously, I know both of you guys, and if I can help out in any way, I definitely am here to do so.
No, and I appreciate that too. And now, obviously, Chad, you gave me my first start, my first job out of college. So I'm forever grateful for that. It led me to getting to know David better. A lot of things that have kind of dominoed positively in my life. So you've been a big mental health factor in my life. Talk about with your athletes, man. You're in the trenches every day. You've been a college coach for a long time now. What are you seeing throughout your athletes in your athletic department?
Um, I mean, throughout our athletic department, we're starting to do a lot of new, things where we're doing like a mental health Wednesday coming up this fall, where we'll meet with like kind of a student athlete counselor that will come in and talk with our student athletes in certain ways that we can learn to cope, things like that. That's kind of on a larger, grander scale of a large group operation type of a thing. But then, we got more services behind. You can start peeling back the layers if we need to start going down the individual path, things like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, our mental health is a big piece of what we do. And if you don't have, kind of the peak mental health, you're probably not going to be able to perform on the baseball field or the softball field or the court, whatever it may be. So mental health is a huge piece of it and getting your mind right and plugging forward. So here at Rock Valley, I mean, we're doing a lot of things kind of moving and shaking forward, which I think is a really good thing that we need to continue to implement. It's a good start, but we got to keep moving forward as well.
No doubt. And obviously, you're not the first person from Rock Valley we've had on. Obviously, Monroe and DJ and Goss, and just I could name 1,000 Rock Valley people that have impacted this podcast. There's obviously been tragedy in our community with Rock Valley, with Summer and everything that goes with that. Do you feel like since that's happened, you guys have made one-on-one changes as well with your athletes?
That's a really good question. Yes, and no in some ways. Like, yes, to the fact that we had to bring light and we have to shed, more things on it, and we have to be a little bit more alert on individual student athletes and kind of, pick them up. Hopefully, maybe we can. I guess the biggest piece of it is not to wait till it's too late. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest piece is get it, at the crossroads, get it early. I'd like to think, and maybe I haven't, but like individually, like I always tell my baseball guys, right? Going to practice every day to me is like those 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 hours of practice is my time with my guys, if that makes sense. The phones are down, you're not on social media, you're not looking up the good and the bad, you're not on TikTok, you're jamming to music, you're practicing, you're plugging forward. So, I think that's some of that time where I can kind of hopefully recognize and pick up on some of it. I mean, it's tough, so I probably don't do a perfect job. But I always tell my guys, I mean, in a baseball game, you play a baseball game in what, 2.5 hours? I mean, enjoy that little bit of moment before you got to get back to the real world. That, I should say, like, David Mitchell's got to go to work here in a little bit, but like when you're on a baseball field for 2.5 hours, man, I feel like you're as close to heaven as you could possibly be.
That's a beautiful perspective. And I think, I tell my athletes all the time, and I know, Dave, you felt that way as well. When you're between those lines, nothing else matters for the 2.5, 3 hours. I think it's a beautiful perspective. All right. Well, Chad, I want to talk to you about this, man. You've always been a baseball guy. You've been a baseball guy for the 8 years I've known you. Talk about how the baseball got put in your hand, man. When did the dream kind of get started for you?
Um, probably a perfect day like today, Father's Day, man. I mean, going out and playing catch with my dad. You know, uh, I've always said this. My dad would come home from a long day of work. We'd go outside. We'd play a little bit of catch, right? If I overthrew him one time, he would go get the baseball. If I overthrew him the second time, I better scurry up and go get that baseball so he can keep going. If I overthrew him the third time, chances are he's walking up to the garage and he's done for the day because I didn't do my job, So that was probably it, man. And I've always had really good coaches along the way. I'm going to give a shout out to Coach Brolhurst from Lincoln Southeast, from where I grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska. Then I had Coach Stack at Cloud County Community College. And then I had, unfortunately, Coach Anson at Washburn University that did pass away. And he was just a big mentor, a big influence in me, in my life and also a lot of my friends. I would sit shotgun when we'd travel a lot of times with Coach Anson and just kind of pick his brain about life, or show up to practice that extra 30, 40 minutes early just to talk to him about nothing except about like life. Like, we didn't talk much baseball and things like that. And those are my biggest influences. And to be honest with you, every day going to practice, man, like it just drives me every day to go see those guys, the cool part is you got David Mitchell on this podcast, man. He played for me. He moved on after me. And then you still keep in touch with these guys. I mean, they're as big of an impact and influence on me than anybody and anybody else. Obviously, my two kids, my wife, are Carrie was a big softball player. So that, we kind of got a lot of ties there as well.
Yeah. And I would tell you this, you mentioned your wife and your family on a day like Father's Day. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you met Carrie around that time at Washburn in that area. Talk about that. Obviously, she's mom of the house. She's your lovely wife, man. Talk about her and the family a little bit.
Yeah, I met my wife at Washburn University, and I think that's a big thing, is going off and playing college, athletics. Like, there's more to it than just playing the game that you go to that school for. You find relationships, you find friendships, you find love, you find, a spouse, and she played softball at Washburn. She was really good. I really wasn't. But we just kind of found a connection and we kind of moved forward, and it brought us here to Rockford, Illinois, and, in Rock Valley, and it's became, kind of a special thing. My two kids play a lot of soccer, so I get the whole travel world, or learning the travel world, but it's fun, and hopefully my kids get something out of it. I will say, a shout out to Coach Nate Washington. Like, my youngest Kai used to just go and even watch you, at BP, and just stand around and not really picking the guy's brain, right? But just, being out there and just seeing what it's all about. Like, hopefully, they're a mentor to her and Bowie just as much as hopefully I am.
No, I completely agree. And I'm going to kick it over to Dave's segment here in a second. But I do have to ask you, Chad, I mean, knowing you come on a podcast today, and the word that comes to mind for you is growth, man. I remember being out there in that second year at Rock Valley, and we were learning together, man. And I felt terrible because I didn't know much. So we were trying to learn together. Talk about the growth aspect in your keep going moment. When was that moment where you're like, man, I don't know if I could stay in the game, or I don't know if I could do what I'm doing anymore. How did you get up from that? What's your keep going moment?
My keep going moment is honestly my two kids. I live and I breathe it. Like, my ultimate goal is to win a national title. I mean, I tell my guys all the time, like, it is consuming at times, right? But I think in the last couple of years, you talked about growth. I used to be probably a little bit more of a grinder, the longer practices, the push, I think I got the right people in. David Mitchell was a huge piece of that, where the culture to me is, you're always building, but I would say it's built, from a good layer. I know you had B Swalve on, I'll give a shout out to him too. But
I just got married, Coach. Guy just got married. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable. See, right there, that's your keep going moment right there. You know what I mean? You have an alumni game, and those guys keep going back. Zach Baden, I know he's been on the show. He calls me all the time when we do an alumni game, and that's probably my keep going moment. And I really tell my guys, man, like, I've slowed down time when I'm at practice and at a game. Wins matter, and I feel like we've won a lot of games, but man, you can learn a lot from losses. You can learn a lot from just listening to the guys talk in the dugout. The guys are like, how do you know so much about us? Dude, I sit back and I listen, man. You guys talk so much. You guys are so loud on the end of the bus or in the vans, and you guys spilled the guts to me, man. Like, it's not rocket science, right? Like, it's right there. And just those few, like I said, every day going to practice, man, I love it. You put down the phone for those 2, 3, 4 hours, and man, that's your keep going moment. Like, as soon as practice is over, like, it's how can we improve tomorrow and how can we keep going there? Or you see a kid struggling in the classroom, what can we do to get them through? Like, Max Orpit, fantastic story, man. Man, that is my keep going moment right there. I was talking about him with Cody Clave the other day. Like that guy just, comes to practice one day without a vehicle, if you remember that.
I do. Oh, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then man, look what he's doing with his life now. That's my keep going moment.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing. And honestly, we've had a lot of coaches on, and it's never been described like that. They've never talked about how their players and how the adversity kind of led to their keep going, which I think is an amazing thing. I do want to kick it over to D Mitch, who we do have a new segment last couple of weeks, the D Mitch's mailbag. So I'm going to have D Mitch throw some questions at you. But Dave, before you go into those questions, go ahead, talk to Coach a little bit. I know you've been quiet. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do love your perspective and impact that you do have on your players and your care for your players. And you see that how you talk, how you carry yourself when you're at practice. And you've been a huge mentor and role model to me in my life and how I live my life. So thank you for that. Going into another question, as a coach, how do you deal with your mental health when you have pressure of leadership, expectation, and performance on the field?
Um, that's a good question. That is probably that growth moment that Coach O'Malley was talking about, where I have to learn and kind of do better. To be honest with you, my debriefing moment probably a lot of times is when I'm done with practice, going to my daughter's practice. And I know my kids have said, "Hey, you're always on your phone at my practice," and I'm trying to do better with that. But the landscape of college athletics with recruiting, I got to take care of my 36 to 38 baseball guys, right? They're my kids too. But I think going to practice, and even if I'm on my phone, like just watching them, there's a little bit of like a silver lining in that. Um, so that's probably my mental health, like that's kind of my downtime, if that makes sense. Again, to watch my kids, and I'm not super overly tough on my kids as far as in the soccer world. So I think I kind of take a step back there. That's probably my my downtime with my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I love it. There's more to life than just the sport, right? Even though we enjoy it being out there, there's a lot more stuff that's going around other than just a baseball game.
Yeah, I mean, watching you guys get married, watching you move, hundreds of miles away. You know what I mean? And like I was over in the Barrington area the other day and thinking of you and Billy Blank and and I'll be honest with you, that keep going moment. I still have that what if mind, with your team. Like I don't know how far we could have gone that year. Like, I remember that year with the COVID shutdown. We're down in Texas, right? And I call our AD, Darren Monroe, and he was like, "Hey, I think you should probably drive that bus back because I had a flight home to go like to another national tournament or something like that, and I had a chance to ride that bus back." But those are those special moments, and I think about that all the time, like that piece, like that team was so good, talented, but such good people where that really probably slowed my life down a little bit and made me like really consider what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and what I can potentially do better.
Love that. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Another question is if a parent, athlete, or coach is listening right now and is struggling, what's one thing you'd want them to hear?
Reach out. No issue is too big or too small. Excuse me. And we have to do a better job. I have to do a better job in my hallway. I've always said I have an open door policy. I remember there was a time where I'd have to go to work probably 6:30 just to get, some office stuff done, practice plans done for the day, where students would come, filing in and sit in front of me and stuff like that, and just shoot the breeze about life and academics and people and friends. And they do a good job of that pre-practice, post-practice, things like that. But like, I do think a little bit post-COVID in that era, like, I mean, I think people are taking a little bit more stuff online, but use your resources. Seriously, like reach out when you need something, no matter how big or how small, whether it be, a relationship with somebody, a friendship or a roommate situation or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, like, I mean, please just reach out. A simple text might be able to be enough where I can get you to the right person that can maybe curb this. And that's that crossroads where let's meet in the middle so we maybe can head it off so before it becomes a bigger issue.
Fantastic. Dave, one more. Let it rip.
Yeah. Is there any advice that you would give for someone or some athlete, parent, whoever's out there, that you would encourage them to do a habit or a routine for their mental health?
If it's up your alley, I'd say, do a daily prayer, do a daily like mental reminder. I always carry a notebook around with me. A lot of times I'm writing down what I want to do for baseball, practice plans. Like I have a notebook where I'm writing down ideas for the fall time. But once in a while, I'll write down just little jots and notes like, hey, make sure you hit this kid up or you do this. And, sometimes it doesn't have to be like for a young student athlete, write stuff down. We tell our student athletes all the time, I don't think we do a great job of this, but like, write down your to-do list every single day. So you can kind of get some of that stuff off that plate and you have a checklist and it might be able to just take enough off your plate where that stress comes down a little bit, doesn't increase throughout the day. And you know what? If you have a to-do list and you don't get something done, it's okay, right? You move it to the next day. You're not going to get everything done all the time. That's probably my biggest thing.
I love it, Coach. I love it. And what I will tell you is it's actually kind of cool, Dave, right? I haven't coached with Chad in about 5 years now, but to see, once again, I keep going back to growth, the things that you're implementing now due to some of the stuff that your AD, Darren Monroe, does and some of the stuff you've learned from mentors and players along the way. But I do have a special guest that's now joining us on the podcast. Herren is in the building. Carrie, what's going on?
Nothing much.
I have to tell you, it is Father's Day, and I've never done this before. I didn't tell the boys you were coming on. Anything that you want to tell Chad live on the air right now?
Oh, gosh, there's so many things. How many are appropriate? I'm not quite sure. Just kidding. Chad's an amazing father. It's really hard, I think, in the work he does and to be able to really devote as much time as you need to as a father to your children and your family, but he goes above and beyond. He's at everything. He tries to be everywhere at the same time. Not to mention, I feel like for his players, he's sometimes a father figure to them too. So he's on dad duty all the time. And I think it's amazing.
Carrie, I know we coordinated this earlier in the week. I'm so happy you made this work because Chad's face right now is the greatest thing I've ever seen on a podcast episode. But it might have been overshadowed by your softball career that he's already touched on this podcast. Can you give me a batting average of home runs for our listeners? Because you are no slouch, Carrie.
Yeah, I know my batting average as a senior was in the 400s. I know that. I was two-time All-State 6A in Kansas as a third baseman. We won state twice. My freshman year, we went undefeated. And then I went on to Washburn. It was a good career.
What stuck out about Chad? Why'd you have to lock him down on Father's Day? Why'd you have to love this man the way you do? Look at the eyes. Maybe the eyes.
As funny as it sounds, when we were in college together, it was the hair. The hair, wow. the afro. He has a curly enough. Like the hairline isn't where it used to be, but it used to be nice and high, and he would have curls and he'd throw them out, and he'd have like a fro, and it was hilarious, and he just stood out as just a great guy.
Amazing. Last thing, what does he mean to your girls? Because I see them. Please stop posting stuff about them in high school. I don't want to see. I'm too old now. I don't want to see any of that. What does he mean to your girls?
So much. Like I said, he came from a family with only boys, so he has a brother, and so this girl thing he had to kind of get used to. But when the girls were younger, he was doing just as many tea parties. He was wearing just as many little hats. He did his best to dress them up in girls' clothes, and he's out there playing sports with him. He just does everything. He's the outside dad. If something needs to be done inside, that's mom. If it's outside, that's Chad. So he's doing it all.
Gary, thank you for coming on. It was a beautiful surprise. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. So I hope you have a beautiful Father's Day spoiling him. I'm going to wrap up with Chad, but please send your family my best. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, O'Malley.
Always. Chad, I will wrap us up, man. How'd you feel about the little surprise there, my man?
Good, man. I got a little tear in my eye. I mean, it's you don't get told those things all the time, you know. You talk about mental health. I guess the biggest thing is like I'm looking at Kai right now. I mean, there's a joy to being a dad.
Yeah, there really is. And I haven't got to that point yet, Dave. We're not there yet, but I'm hoping to listen to this 4, 5, 6 years ago. Excuse me, 4, 5, 6 years from now, and look back and learn some of the stuff I'm learning from you now, man. And you've definitely been a father figure for myself. You've definitely been a role model. You've definitely been a coach that I still use some of your Chadisms at the facility when I'm coaching, man. That stuff doesn't go away. David, take us home, man. What do you got?
Yeah, thank you, Coach, for coming on. I know you've impacted me in a positive way, and you're impacting so many more people than you know. Um, and just thank you for being that role model. Thank you for being that dad. Happy Father's Day. Thanks for coming on.
Chad Herren, Golden Eagle Ball leader. Chad, anything else to say to our audience today?
Happy Father's Day. You guys really made it a special morning, to be honest with you. Like, if I can impact one student athlete, man, like I've probably lived a complete life. Hopefully someday my two kids, Bowie and Kai, can see that as well. And I want my student athlete, my baseball guys, and yes, I'm saying my guys because they're my guys, they're my family, they're my kids. They've influenced Bowie and Kai more than they'll ever know.
Beautiful, man. Well, that is a beautiful sign off. Happy Father's Day to all the dads. Happy Father's Day to all the moms that have played 2 roles. Happy Father's Day to all the papas, grandmas, guardians. It's a beautiful Sunday, so I hope everyone enjoys it. And above all else, keep going, guys. Appreciate the time.